As Microsoft, Apple, Google, and a whole bunch of Linux distributions are tripping over themselves, rushing to implement age verification into their operating systems, I thought now would be a good time to sit down and walk through which Linux versions, which operating systems in general, are actually fighting back against age verification being built into the operating systems themselves. So I wanted to walk you guys through exactly where we stand. Right now, it's June 22nd, and here's where we stand across the board on operating systems. First, here's a quick recap, a really quick recap on where we stand with proprietary systems. And this is pretty doggone obvious. The short version is this. All commercial operating systems, all proprietary ones, are in some level of age verification compliance as of right now, and have plans for full compliance over the next few months between now and January. So Apple's way ahead of the pack on this one. If you like age verification, you're gonna love Apple. Mac OS, iOS, iPad OS, all of it. It uses the Apple ID, which includes age information built into the Apple ID account, and that is required for a fully functional system on Apple's operating systems. Apple also ships and continues to expand an age verification API. So they're at the forefront of complying with California's law and Colorado's law and Brazil's law and potentially the new federal law and a bunch of other things. Now, Microsoft Windows, Google, and Google's various operating systems are not quite there yet, but they have plans to finish their full implementation over the coming months. Microsoft Windows already collects birth date on creation of a Microsoft account, and Microsoft plans to ship an API to comply with age verification laws, but has not done so yet, and they will be expanding local account creation to include all of that as well on new versions and updates to Windows. Basically the same sort of things happening over in Android town. With Google Android, it already ships with an age verification API in some regions like Brazil and Texas, and plans to expand that worldwide. Age information gathering is planned to be included in all account setups during the rest of 2026 before January 1st of 2027, similar with Chrome OS. Now, so what that means is right now, let's look at the list here. I've got a list that I keep up to date over on GitHub. I'll link to it in the notes wherever you're getting this show, so you can just see the updated version of it. There are, as of right now, 3 operating systems which fully comply, or at least have made a significant declaration that they are currently fully complying with these various age verification, age attestation laws. It's Apple's Mac OS, Apple's iOS, and iPad OS, kind of the same thing, at least as far as we consider it here. And Midnight BSD. This is a very peculiar one, because the Midnight BSD has added age attestation functionality by default. You can turn it off, but it is on by default. It's a open source BSD variant. Now, operating systems which are planning to implement age verification but have not done so or have not fully done so yet. Let's go through those real quickly here. Now, we've already talked about Microsoft and Google. We know that's coming. But what may surprise people is that list also includes Ubuntu, System 76's Pop! OS, Elementary OS, Debian, and Fedora, as well as potentially pretty much any Linux distribution that ships Systemd and related software with it. Age attestation, age storage, and age verification are kind of coming down the pipe there. Has not happened yet. However, it is expected to be happening soon. For example, in order for Ubuntu to be fully compliant with the age attestation laws, it needs to get it done by January 1st to be in compliance with the California law. It's already not in compliance with the Brazilian law, but the statements that have been made by their team have made it clear that they are evaluating how to be in compliance and how to go about doing that. So they'll probably need to either ship a new bit of age functionality features in Ubuntu 26.10, which will ship this coming October, or an update that'll come sometime after that. So what about operating systems not shipping or implementing age verification? In fact, which ones are looking like they're just going to avoid it entirely? Because that's the key point. It's not so important which ones do or don't today. As these laws kick in, which ones are going to avoid doing so entirely and willing to fight it? Omarchy Linux, I believe the founder of Omarchy Linux said that it was retarded. Here, let me bring up the statement here so you can see it here. The developer behind Omarchy Linux says Omarchy has no plans to do anything in response to this retarded California law. Devuan, Slackware, Zorin OS, Vendiful Wolf, Graphene OS. These systems, Graphene OS is an Android fork, but the rest are Linux distributions there. All of those are in some level of, no, I don't think so, homie, don't play that, as far as age verification goes, and have made pretty strong statements that they will not be implementing age verification or attestation functionality. The same is true with the FreeDOS distribution of the GNU and Free Software DOS implementation. Not that that was really a concern for anyone, but the way the laws are worded, FreeDOS would be subject to the laws. As stupid as that sounds, and it sounds pretty doggone stupid, it would still apply. The California law, yes, it would apply to FreeDOS. It all applies to FreeDOS. In fact, there is a Colorado. So the Colorado law is an interesting one. So there's the California law and the Colorado law. Those are both, passed and signed and all that. But the Colorado law included very weird language that they claim was intended to excuse open source operating systems from being included in requiring age verification and attestation. But the way it was worded actually didn't mean that. Legally, the way it was worded would, if it exempted open source software, it exempted all software, and it probably didn't even do that. It was very, very peculiar. Whoever wrote it had no idea what they were doing and just really screwed the pooch on that one. In fact, they probably legally made it far, far worse for everybody just by including the weird language. Maybe the attempt was in good faith, but man, did they do a bad job. So there's also Garuda Linux, Void Linux, Endeavor Linux, Parrot OS, and Ghost BSD. Ghost BSD is a great BSD distribution, and that one is also not currently implementing those age attestation functionalities. There's a lot of operating systems we don't know about. CachyOS, MX Linux, Solus, Alma Linux. We don't really know which way they're going with those. We really don't. They've made very ambiguous statements. They may or may not implement age verification. We just don't know at this point. It should also be pointed out that OpenMandriva is also kind of going away from the age verification. They haven't announced how they want to handle it, so I'm not including them on this list. But every way that they handle it is all some variation on, we don't want our users to have to do age verification or attestation, so we want to find a way to work around it, or not include it, or fight against it, or something. But they haven't announced exactly how they're going to include that or approach that, so I haven't put them in the list. But it does feel pretty safe to assume that their team, the OpenMandriva team, are not going the age verification route. So right now, if you're using an operating system that's made by Microsoft, Google, or Apple, you're screwed as far as this sort of thing goes. You're going deep, deep into the age attestation and age verification route. There's no way around that. It was kind of expected. I think what a lot of people are going to be surprised by is how many Linux distributions are also going that route. The Fedora team, for example, which is owned and run by Red Hat, has already declared that their goal is actually to clone the Apple API for age verification and provide an open source implementation of it, so that way Fedora Linux and a bunch of other Linux distributions would have a turnkey age verification, ID verification, and whatnot API set to use across Linux. Just because it's open source, just because it's free software, does not mean it is exempt from the age verification. It's amazing to see the whole Linux world is split in two on this one. So those are worth keeping track of. If you go to lunduke.com, I keep a link there on the left-hand side of the page under Lunduke's projects. There's a link that says Open Source Operating System Age Verification Status. That will take you to a GitHub page that I update as these laws come in, as the laws pass, as they get withdrawn, as new operating systems make statements or have new releases. I put them all up on that page there. And you can feel free to reference it whenever you need to. And I try to include links to screenshots of the announcements from the various developers and companies and whatnot, so you can just see for yourself. You can make up your own mind. Okay, it looks like, oh, Marchy Linux, there, it's on the list of not age verifying. Great. But what led you to believe that? Was, I'll read the words and I'll make a decision myself. So that's all there for you guys to check out. Thank you to the Lunduke Journal subscribers. I want to make a quick shout out to all the lifetime subscribers lately. During June, we tried to do a push to add as many lifetime retro computer walls to the Lunduke Journal as we could. And what that is individual walls, screenshots basically, of different retro computer operating systems filled with the names of Lunduke Journal lifetime subscribers. People who said, hey, it's important to fully support big tech free, ad free, non-woke, truly independent tech journalism. And they want to put not just their money where their mouth is, but they want to put their name on it. They want to stamp their John Hancock on that, sign it, and say, darn it, I'm on this team. And that's a pretty cool thing. And so right now we've got wall after wall after wall with different retro computer operating systems filled with the names of so many of you amazing nerds. I mean, just one after another. And we have 3 new walls that have gone up over the last couple of days. The Commodore 64 wall, the BOS R5 wall, and the Ubuntu 4.10 wall from 2004. This is 22-year-old version of Ubuntu. Definitely didn't have any age verification in it back then. It was very brown, very GNOME 2, and very fast. You know that operating system? Only 64 megs of RAM were required to run it. And it ran pretty good with that. I mean, a little more was better, but 64 megs of RAM, it ran. Could you imagine installing the latest version of Ubuntu or Fedora or Windows for that matter on 64 megs of RAM? I'm pretty sure the universe would just implode. So if you'd like to get your John Hancock on one of these 3 new walls, because all the rest of them are full. We're up to 14 walls now. The first 11, I just had to do the math there. The first 11 of them are full. I can't add any more names to those. But the Commodore 64, the BOS R5, and the Ubuntu 4.10 wall are open. You can grab a lifetime subscription for super duper cheap. It's massively discounted all the way through the end of June, but it's almost the end of June. So if you want to grab a wall or grab a lifetime subscription and get your name on one of those walls, you got to kind of do it now. And if enough of you come in and do it now, we can, in fact, get some more walls up before the end of the month. I did not think we would be this far along as we are. I did not think we would get to wall number friggin' 14 filled with name after name after name. Look at these things. I mean, it's just so many names, one after another, on some of the coolest operating systems ever. And these are all people that were just like, you know what? I love the Lunduke Journal. I love what you're doing. I want to support it. I couldn't do it without you. You were all amazing. So go ahead and grab that. All the details are up at lunduke.com. If you want to grab that there, I'll also put a link wherever you're getting this show, and you can go check that out. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds and nerdettes across the vast and glorious intertube, I do declare, end broadcast.